Barry, in the papers today, Connor Goldson, the former Rangers stalwart, vice-captain until earlier this year when he moved. What do you feel about his story? Most people will have seen it. He's talking about when Steven Gerrard left, it wasn't the same. And he's a bit critical about the Giovanni van Bronckhorst days.
I don't like seeing that. I don't like hearing that. Listen, I thought Gio done a fine job. I thought Rangers were maybe too quick and get rid of Gio, if I'm being honest. Look, Steven Gerrard obviously brought a title back to the club. Obviously moved on to Aston Villa. Gio come in and Gio had a style of play. I thought Gio done a fine job. Just had a few iffy results towards the end. His time at Rangers, and then obviously Connor had signed a new contract. But I personally, I thought it was the right time for Connor to go. I thought he was I said that, I thought he was a really good player for Rangers. I just thought time was right in the summer for Connor to move on.
His best years probably behind him.
Yeah, I would probably say that, but I will say the previous 6 years he was one guy that did put his body on the line. I'll give him that. Listen, I'm sure at times you would have said he could have played better, but one thing about Connor Goldson is he gave you 100%. And when it came to the summer and he left, I just thought at the time it was the right move for both Rangers and Connor.
Mark, what did you make of it? What you're reading today and thinking back on the story on Connor Goldson?
Yeah, I mean, it's I think from a journalistic point of view, it's great. I think Scott McDermott get the story, so it's a good interview to get. It's the first time that he's opened up since he left, so yeah, there's no doubt it's a good interview. Whether what he says, whether you agree with it or not, it's his opinion. But I agree with Barry, and I said it in the show, Paul, his time was up. His time was up probably March, April, to be honest, when Rangers started to creak. But he was a great servant. £2 million from Brighton. It was a really good signing. I thought he was a leader, one of the few that Rangers had. And he mentioned the fact, I think, yesterday when he spoke up at certain times and maybe kind of left a wee bit on the club, left a wee bit on his teammates. He was explaining why, and then you can see that. I mean, Barry's been in that situation, and I know Connor Goldson wasn't the captain, but sometimes he took on the role of captain, and that was fair enough. Sometimes you've got to call it out a wee bit. You've got to let people know it's not acceptable. Where I'm surprised, disappointed, whatever it is, Giovanni van Bronckhorst having a wee kind of pop at him, because see, if you look at Giovanni van Bronckhorst, he never had a full campaign to go for the title. He won a Scottish Cup, got Rangers to a European final. He then got them into the Champions League to get and then sold Bashi and Aribo for massive money. You could argue, and I know Steven Gerrard won a title. He won one title in 3 years. So I would argue that Giovanni van Bronckhorst has been Rangers' most successful manager since Walter Smith. I would put that argument out there. When you look at his achievements in the space of a year, and I know it was going a bit wrong from at the end, and Ange Postecoglou's team started to get together. But if he was allowed to bring in the players that he wanted to, if he was given the same budget that Michael Beale was given only 9 months later, bearing in mind, he was stabbed in the back as well a few weeks before he lost his job. So you put all that into account. I hope that what's Connor Goldson's not insinuating there, I hope it wasn't a case of some of the Rangers players down tools and wanted to see Giovanni lose his job. I hope that wasn't the case. But again, I'll just make my main point on that. Giovanni van Bronckhorst's record as Rangers manager was as good as anybody's since Walter Smith.
Barry, what would you say?
Yeah, well, as you said, Mark makes a good point in terms of him coming in through a season, getting the Scottish Cup. First time they'd won it in a number of years, and then obviously the run to the Europa League final was some of the results that they achieved against top opposition was great. And then the following season, obviously, when you lose two big players, two huge players in Bassey and Aribo, and brought in huge money for them, and never really replaced them. It was tough on him. I did feel at the time, listen, I know you're judged on your results, and he did go through a rough patch. I just thought maybe it was too soon. I thought he had a bit more time left in him, but Rangers made the decision, and obviously Gio lost his job, which you don't like to see you're obviously a former teammate, but you want him to go in and be successful. But yeah, I'd rather, when you get asked the question, I know from